Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome to another Sunday live Q&A. So we're going to go for about an hour and a half like we always do and just crack through any questions that you guys have. So let's give this like 2-3 minutes for people to join in, for questions to start piling up, and then we'll get going. All right, guys, we're going to go in like 2-3 minutes. I just want to wait for some people to join in. Crack open this water bottle. Some fucking complex device over here. Jesus Christ. Fucking shit. All right, so we got a pretty good turnout. Let's get the ball rolling. So I'm just going to repeat the intro. What's up, guys? Welcome to another Sunday live stream. We're going to go for about an hour and a half, just cracking into all your questions. Nothing is off limits unless it's something that's going to get me banned off YouTube, in which case I'll have to dance around the issue a little bit. All right, awesome. Let's get cracking. So, questions are starting to pile up. First date, usually go for a weekday or weekend. Largely irrelevant. You can do, I just base it around my time. I mean, weekends only, 2-3 days. Like, you don't want to limit yourself. So, also I work from home, and now it's Corona time, so every day is basically a weekend. So yeah, I don't even really pay attention to that, whether it's Tuesday or Saturday or whatever. It's irrelevant. Is it better to text a girl a few times and then go for the meetup, or is it better to text for a while and really build it towards the meetup? Okay, so pretty good questions. Common misconception, variation of this question I often get is, how many days should you text a girl for before you go for the meetup? Should it be days, weeks, month, whatever. It doesn't matter the amount of text or the time span. You have to look at investment. So is the girl giving you one-word answers like, hey, not much, just chilling, or is she writing you sentences and paragraphs? So you really just look for investment. Once you get investment from the girl, then it's safe to go for the meetup. Doesn't matter if it's been hours, days, whatever, right? So that's kind of the general rule of thumb that I follow. So you basically, again, you don't want to just say you haven't talked to the girl in like 3-4 days. You don't want just your first text to reopen the conversation and be like, what do you like? Let's hang out tomorrow, right? Like you want to, follow the steps. You want to get the conversation going. Then you would soft close, and you figure out her schedule, and you would hard close. But yeah, you can feel free to do that as soon as you get investment. Why don't you call girls before you meet them? You always text. I do sometimes call girls before I meet them. It's just largely unnecessary more often than not. First of all, in 2020, I think like half the chicks who are under 25 don't even know that you can use your phone to call. So to them, it's like almost like considered like socially weird for someone out of the blue to call them. And more often than not, it's largely unnecessary. But if I feel that a phone call will benefit me, like for example, if I feel like the girl's on the fence, or there's something that's like logistics are really difficult and we need to work out a plan or something along the line of that, then yeah, I won't hesitate to call. No, I feel like if it's a weekday, less likely to be a same day late because they have to work in the morning as an out. No, I don't think so. I haven't noticed any correlation between scheduling dates that I have on weekdays and weekends in my likelihood of sleeping with them. I really don't think so. Just if it's a weekday, you'll just do a little bit earlier. You might do like 7 or 8 o'clock, right? But yeah, I don't think so. Also, it's a good idea to get a feel for the girl's schedule. Like if you know that she has to be home at like 10 p.m. in bed, tucked in on a weekday, then you might want to do weekend. But a lot of people nowadays have flexible jobs also. So I see a lot of rookies in here. Well, we all got to start somewhere. How much of your game is cold approach versus online game? I feel like it's not really, because right now with the COVID shit, it's not like really accurate, because it used to be before COVID, it used to be like, I would say 75% on 80% online, 20% cold approach or something like that. Maybe like 20% cold approach and 5% just like social circle, like my neighbors or something like that. Now with COVID, it's a little harder to approach people, especially when everyone's wearing masks and shit and everyone wants to stay 10 feet away from you. So right now it's probably like 90% online or maybe more than that. Questions are piling up. All right. I want to ask, all this texting technique works only on girls who want to hook up or also want to be serious like in real life when you get enough from a girl you like? Well, good text game works on anyone. I mean, it's not like, I wouldn't say it's like techniques. I mean, you could use that if you want to be technical about it, but I would just say it's a good text game. That's like asking, does being confident only work on DTF girls, or is it like, does having good logistics only help you with DTF girls, or is it going to help you with girls that you want to be in a serious relationship with? So, all these things, confidence, good logistics, and one of those things is text game, are going to help you with every type of girl. If it's, for example, a more conservative girl, then you would probably want to calibrate. Actually, I'm putting out a video next week on how to text cold approach numbers. So I'm going to show you it's largely the same, but there's some subtle differences that you want to point out, I think are important to point out. So just look for that video next week. But yeah, largely good text game is still a good text game. By the way, appreciate all the work you do. Thank you, sir. Would you ever make a PWF app for him? I actually already have a PWF app. I really got to get better at like getting communicating with you guys, because I feel like sometimes I do shit and I put shit out and like no one knows about it. So yeah, we actually released an app several months ago. Right now it's only available for like paying members of the mastermind group. At some point we might expand that. There's a good chance we will expand that at some point to everyone and anyone. But right now it's only for mastermind members. How do you approach cold texting on Instagram versus Tinder? I don't really do that much. I'm just kind of starting to play around with Instagram cold DMs. The reason is, first of all, they're just harder. Like your success rate is going to be higher on dating apps because the girl has already, basically committed to the fact that she likes you, or at least finds you visually attractive. With Instagram, there's not that social contract. So you're going to have to run higher volume unless you have like a Dan Bilzerian style Instagram. So for that reason, the fact that I'm just already swarmed with leads from like, Tinder and other shit, I haven't focused too much on cold DM, but I am going to learn it just so I can put out some videos on this. So basically what I've discovered so far is there's not that with Instagram, there's not that social contract like there is, with Tinder or any other dating app. So you have to be a little bit more, I would say, indirect. Also, you got to keep in mind with Instagram, any girl who is at least somewhat attractive is just getting bombarded with cold DMs, like bombarded, like it's insane. Like if you take a look at a chick who's 7+ in the US at her Instagram DMs, as long as it's like she has a public Instagram, it's going to be just fucking dick pic galore. So most guys are coming off really direct, like, hey, you're really hot. Or they're like straight up sending dick pics, like, hey, you want to fuck? Hey, I want to, sit on your face, whatever. So you want to avoid falling into that category. So you're going to want to go more direct. An opener that I've been using for cold DMs that's worked pretty well for me is, hey, I like your style. Right? It's a compliment. It's fairly straightforward, but it's also not like, hey, I like your ass. It's I like your style, which the girl, whenever you compliment a girl, it's always good to compliment them on things that they have control over, like style is one of those, versus body or eyes or whatever. It's things that they were born into. So that's just a little bit of a side note. So and then I've just been a little bit more, I would say, like laid back, like chill, more like kind of like if I was to go up to a girl at the park, right? I wouldn't be like super direct. I wouldn't be like, I'll be like, yeah, you want me to give you like 20 oral orgasms, something like that? Like I would creep her out, right? So I'd be like more laid back. That's the kind of approach I'm taking with Instagram cold DMs. Again, lack of social contracts, so it means you have to vary your approach. Hey, dude, what's up? I'm 22. I like mature girls 29 and above. 29 and above is considered mature. Any tips? I can relate to that. When I was like 22, 23, I went through a middle phase myself. So, yeah, you'll eventually get over it. But, yeah, you got to just bang it out, I guess, for now. So, any tips? Well, there's some advantages to mature girls. First of all, they're more straightforward. They're less flaky. They're going to show up on time, much more likely. I would say they're easier to make plans with. They're just more straight up. They play less games. So I would say that with mature girls, it's really you're going to run the same exact text game, but you have to be able to deal with the shit test that might pop up, but you're so much younger than me. Like I would say at least half the time, if you're talking to an older girl, she will say that, like, but you're only 22, right? So I actually have a full answer. I talk about this in my 17 of the most common concerns and objections video. Check it out. I actually have like the perfect fucking response to that. So just go with that. And other than that, it's pretty much going to be more or less the same. If she's a mom, like if she's a MILF, then you have to keep in mind that her schedule is not that flexible. So you can't expect her to just spontaneously ditch her kid to get some dick. So you have to like plan things out a little bit more. If you ask a girl, so what are you looking for on here, and she replies, friends, how would you proceed? I would just say, I would kind of troll her a little bit. I would say, sounds exciting. That would be my response. Hopefully she will justify herself and be like, haha, well, maybe blah, blah, blah. So something along the lines of that. I see your dog being a huge part of your game. If I'm not wrong, how to compensate the ones that have. Yeah, but my dog is pretty new. I got my dog in January, right? And I was already like definitely getting laid a lot before that. I had, the BWF channel was on the way. I just use him. I would say he's like an asset, but I wouldn't say he's like a critical part of my game. Like if God forbid my dog disappears, well, I don't even want to go there. But anyway, so I would have to. I don't think my game would really be affected, right? Like I think I would still be able to do the same shit. I just use them as like a tool, Like for example, if you there's other tools I don't have at my disposal. For example, I'm not really big on clubs or whatever events or social circle type of shit. Like when I hang out with people, it's usually one-on-one or just a few close friends. But if I did have that, I would use that as a tool, right? So I would maybe use Instagram stories of videos of me at a club or something like that to draw girls in. So I just use what tools I have at my disposal. And, as whatever utilitarian as it sounds, my dog is like, a tool in that regard right now. But I wouldn't say he's a critical part of my game. So if you want to see what my texting style was like, just go for anything that was made before January of this year, and then you'll see what I was doing before I had the dog. Have you said back-to-back wine dates? Did the girl find it repetitive, unexciting, back-to-back? I'm assuming you're talking about with the same girl. I'm not sure if you mean with like two different girls in one night, but I'm assuming you mean with the same girl. No, not really. I mean, girl kind of knows what's up. If she comes over for wine and I don't close her, she's very much is going to know, even if we don't bang, she's going to know what's up that day. Like I'm going to make a move numerous times and I'm going to, it's going to be it's not going to be like a mystery. So she basically, if we don't have sex on the first day, there's probably some kind of reason. Like she was on her period and she didn't want to, go around it. Or maybe she just has a strict, firm rule that she just does not fuck on the first day or whatever, right? But if she's coming back, if we're meeting up again, that she very much is okay with the fact that I want to have sex, that I love sex, I'm a sexual guy, and she knows what's up. So it's really, we're meeting up again to kind of finish the unfinished business that we had on the first date. So no, I wouldn't say so. The only annoying thing that does sometimes happen if the girl comes to you on the first date and you don't close, sometimes, and this is more if she does this will not happen if she really likes you, but sometimes she will want to meet at her place. She'll be like, oh, I drove to you, you have to come to me next time. So you kind of have to like accommodate that. It's kind of hard at that point to be like, well, come to me the second time, if she's giving you shit. So at that point you'll probably have to go to her place. What do you say when you try to get a drinking meetup and she says, are you trying to get me drunk? I would just say, no, I like my woman conscious. That's like really simple. I've gotten that before. Can you give advice on how to get the meetup the same day? So, well, it's really going to come down to whether the girl is available that day. I feel like in the pickup community, same day lays, same night lays are highly overrated, and they can only really happen if the girl is free that night, and that's just not probable. Like usually, again, it happened. Habits happen to me numerous times. It happened. I've had same day lays from day game, had same night lays from night game, had, mini same night lays from Tinder or whatever. But it's not, I would say it's only like 20% of the time, 10% of the time. The majority of, my hookups have been when, we planned it out a little bit. So it's just going to come down. You have to figure out the girl's logistics if she's free that night. So you can send out like a feeler text, like you feeling spontaneous tonight or something like that. I actually have a whole video on this. So check out the video called How to Get Laid the Same Night from Tinder. It's going to be 3 or 4 videos down. And I kind of walk through that part in extreme detail. Okay, so this is just response. Tips for sending emails, negotiation over email. I don't know if I'm the best person. So if you want really to learn this stuff, check out the book by that FBI agent, Chris Voss. It's called Never Split the Difference. That book is fucking top notch for negotiation and anything related to that, especially when it comes to business. So definitely check out that book. Even though I don't really need to negotiate that much because of my business model, I still found that book super helpful. But basically what he talks about is that, I'll give you a few cliff notes. One of the big things he says is that people are, like nowadays, people are too, let's just say, like eager to get a yes out of someone, right? So like that's, a lot of email marketing is just trying to get it. It's like the first thing is an obvious question you want to say yes to. He talks about instead of getting people to say yes, you want them to say, that's right. So you want to make a statement that they agree with and they can say, you know what, that's right. And he says that's a lot more powerful than getting a yes. So there's a lot of really practical tips like that in that book. Hey, Alex, I messaged you before on IG about a girl that went cold on me, nowhere, and flaked on me when she's got to babysit. Any idea what happened, where I went wrong? I do. Honestly, there's so many interactions I have. But if you want to hit me up on Instagram, unless it's something personal, like unless it's like you have a question about, payment processors or whatever, you want to collab with me, that's probably one of the worst ways to communicate with me. So if you're not a member of the mastermind, then just go to forums.playingfire.com and make a post. And I go through that every day and respond to pretty much everyone. So just post all the screenshots in the forums and then I will take a look tomorrow. Oh, and just make sure you also write out the backstory. All right, Alex, I have a question. I just moved to Texas from California. That's funny. I did that as well. So do you think using the new guy's town is a good court to play when going out solo? I haven't really met anyone here yet. Thanks, man. It's not bad. Yeah, I mean, like, I'm not a big fan of going out by myself just because, it just kind of becomes like depressing. Like, I don't know. I don't like to go to bars by myself. I like to go with friends. Actually, if you're, it depends on what city you are, but if you're in Austin, I can actually probably introduce you to a few people who I used to hang out with when I used to live there. But basically, yeah, I think it's fine. My old roommate when I was living in Texas, he actually did that, and he was a super social guy. He wound up making a social circle within a few weeks. So yeah, I think it's not a bad idea. Okay. Thoughts on hiring a professional photographer, better pictures on dating apps? I don't have many pictures myself, and if you do have an exception of 2 suck. So can be a good idea. But unfortunately, most professional photographers make one big mistake. The pictures they shoot are too post because they're used to making these kinds of like post shots, where it's like for a resume or something like that. So a lot of professional photographers, not all of them, there's a lot of really good ones, but those are usually going to be more expensive. A lot of professional photographers don't know how to take natural looking pics. So if you are going to do that, I highly recommend. I have a whole article on this on the Playing Fire site on making it to the profile that you show them the article before the photo shoot because it actually has examples of what a good picture is, what a bad picture is. That'll give them a good idea of what they should do and what they shouldn't do. But to be fair, like most of my pictures that I have, I would say 80% of the pictures I have on Instagram were taken with a smartphone by a friend or a family member or a girl or something like that. I would say only like 10 to 20% of the pictures on my Instagram are professionally taken. Probably the same ratio for Tinder. I have had some really great professionally taken pictures, but I've also had a lot of photo shoots that were just a total waste of time, where nothing came out of it because the photographer didn't really know what they were doing. What books have you read, if any, that you can say have seriously contributed to? Oh, there's so many, honestly. It's a lot of books. They don't directly contribute to success with girls. They contribute to motivation, which then translates into success with girls. So I'll just give you my top ones. Total Recall by Arnold Schwarzenegger, that really motivated me to start working out, and just basically shows you that The only limitations are the ones in your mind. Like, 'cause that guy just literally did so much fucking shit. So I really like that book. Another one that I enjoy. Honestly, I thought the Game of Thrones books, in a sense, did contribute to my success with girls because there's a lot of like good banter there and stuff like that. Like from not so much the show, but the actual books. There's like a lot of good banter that you can then apply. And like different characters there have like, I don't know, I feel like indirectly that helped as well. Obviously, Models is a decent book if you're a beginner. If you're like advanced, it's not really going to help you at all. But if you're a beginner, I think that's a good book. That's, I think, by Mark Manson. Trying to think of other ones. You can say I Hope They Serve Beer in Hell by Tucker Max. That's like early frat tire. That's more if you're into like drinking a night game. That one can also indirectly help you. I'm sure there's a lot more. Just those are the ones that come to my mind right now. This chick works late almost every night, but she still is interested in meeting up, having problems finding the right date. Any suggestions? First time meeting. I would need to see the screenshots to give you like spot on advice, but figure out. I'm sure she has 1 or 2 nights off. Like no chick works until 2 a.m. every single night. So just figure out. Well, it depends. Also, is she one of those chicks who can hang out after work? Because some chicks like stay up until 5 a.m. So if she's one of those, like you can ask her, how about after work one of these days? And she's like, no, I'm too tired. Then you're just gonna have to pick a night that she doesn't have to work late, and then just go for that. But really, it's just gonna come down to figuring out her schedule and being a little persistent and just scheduling it properly. All right, what else we got? Oh, damn, these questions are just rolling in. What's the magic behind the Ryan Gosling meme, or what does it signify besides Happy Tuesday message? Yeah, it's an association. Like a lot of chicks know Ryan Gosling and they associate charm, confidence, charisma. He's like a sex icon, right? So it's like a lot of chicks when they see that, they're like, oh, I like triggers that. So it's just like a more unique way of saying Happy Tuesday. And it's a meme that's just worked really well for me, over the years. I've tried it, so many fucking times, and just chicks seem to really like that. Just got out of a year-long relationship, and now I feel like I'm out of the game. Any tips? It'll come back pretty fast. I was in a relationship. I remember when one time I was in a relationship for almost a year, and I thought that when we broke up, I thought that it was going to take me like months to get back to where I was. It literally took 3 or 4 days. The other time was when I had Lyme disease, and I was literally like bedbound for like 6 months, and I literally didn't interact with anyone who wasn't a family member or doctor during that period. And I thought that like after that I was going to have to relearn everything. Dude, it came back like literally within a week. Like I was already basically 99% back to where I used to be. So it comes back really, really fast. So we just covered this question. I just asked about the phone call because it makes girls feel like they know you before you meet them, make them more comfy to meet up. Yeah, but you have to get the chick on the phone. A lot of girls feel awkward talking to a guy they don't know. So you have to actually get her on the phone, which can be probably almost as challenging as getting her on the date. I literally know some girls who you're going to have an easier time meeting up with them than you are getting them on the phone. They just feel like so awkward talking on the phone. They think their voice sounds weird, whatever. So again, I don't think it's necessary the majority of the time. I think that, again, like texting has become the primary means of communication in 2020 for like online dating. It is what it is. I think older girls are going to be more likely to be down with a phone call, like 30 plus. They'll probably appreciate that a lot more. But like 18, 19, 20-year-olds, like, dude, like they don't even know you can talk on the phone. They think the phone is for Snapchat and texting and Instagram. So yeah, if you have a friend with DSLR, that works too, definitely. A device with a guy for a 5'10" face. Well, just focus on maximizing what you can. First of all, you can improve your face a little bit by doing certain things, like make sure your facial hair is on point, get a sharp haircut, right? Like you want everything to look good. I go to like a pretty good barber, and he spends about an hour working on my beard and my hair, and I do that once every 2 weeks, right? So I kind of always try to look sharp. This is me like 5 days before I need to go again. So this is already on the peak end. Like I just always try to keep my face sharp. Also, getting into single digits body fat is going to make all your facial features pop a lot more. Eating healthy is going to give you more vibrant skin, more vibrant energy. So you can probably take your face from a 5 out of 10 to a 6 out of 10. And then the rest, you have to focus on things you can control, like your body, for example. You have a significant amount of control over your body. So make sure that your body is 10 out of 10. Hey, Alex, I'm moving out of my parents in August. Do you think a roommate is fine in my apartment or would having my own place be better for results? It's going to make no difference at all as long as you own it. I have a roommate right now, doesn't impact me one bit. So what I do is when a girl asks me if I'm a roommate, I just kind of tell a white lie and I say no. And then, quite often they'll come over and they'll meet my roommate and I'll just be like, oh yeah, my buddy's crashing here for a few weeks or something like that. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, it makes zero difference. So if you find, like me personally, I like to have roommates because I don't know, like I get bored if it's just like me in the apartment sometimes. So I like having a roommate. It's cool. Like if you need a favor or someone, you got a repair guy coming and you can't stay there, whatever. It's just like, I think there's a lot of benefits to having a roommate. As long as it's a roommate that you get along with, it's cool. All right, what else we got? If you use her question opener and she replies, what are some questions you would ask her? I literally use that opener only if she doesn't have any body pics. I want to ask her if she's a secret fatty. That's literally the only time I ever use that. I think you can probably come up with shit though that will work with that opener. I think it's very easy for it to come off game if you do that. So I would use that more like down the line. So like for example, if she's being flaky, I might say question, and she'd be like, "What? Are you always this difficult to make plans with?" or something like that. But honestly, you can even cut that part out and just go for the second part. How much is the mastermind group? Thanks. It's $39 a month currently. So it started out when we first created, it was $19 a month, and then we've just been progressively increasing the price on new members. Obviously, if you at whatever point you join the mastermind, that price gets grandfathered in for life. So we got guys who are paying still $19 a month, but right now the price of entry is $39 a month. We do intend to, I think, raise that, and pretty soon we're going to actually cut off new membership to the mastermind for a bit, simply because we're getting to the point where it's like 500 people in the group chat right now. So me and the other coaches, we can barely keep up. So like right now it's still at a point where the quality is high for the average person, but we're probably going to cut it off. I would say within 3-4 months is probably realistic. What's your dating app pull rate? Are you talking so? I was actually planning on making a video on this topic because a lot of people ask me this. Are we talking about out of my matches? Are we talking about out of the chicks who I swipe right on? Like, what exactly are we talking about? Like, if we're talking about my Tinder matches, so girls that match with on Tinder, what percent of them I will end up going on a date with? It's probably going to be less than 10%. Like, it's probably going to be 8-9%, and that's actually quite good. For Tinder. So a lot of people think that, if you have a good text game, you're going to get like 70% of the girls or something like that. It's just not realistic. That's why it's important to run high volume, and then you do everything to optimize your text game so that you can, let's just say, capitalize, the highest percentage of your leads. Is it hard to attract a 10? Do you need to use a different approach? I'm assuming we're talking about in like a first world country like America. I think it's definitely not easier. It is a bit harder. It depends how you're going about it. Like if you're, for example, hitting up a 10 on Instagram, it's going to be a lot harder because a lot of guys are sliding in her DMs, right? Not to say it can't happen. Cold approach, it's going to be, it's more of a level playing field because some of the hottest girls actually don't get approached that much because a lot of guys are intimidated by them. So it's going to be a little bit of a different. But I would honestly use, girl's a girl. I would still use the same exact, strategy that I would use for like a 7 or something like that. I heard Flora just said, "Does it feel like it all living for?" And of course, hope you're doing well. Thank you. I appreciate that, Russell. No, it doesn't. It really doesn't. Occasionally, someone will be like paranoid in the elevator and be like, "Hey, do you have your face mask?" or something like that. I've only had that happen once or twice. Honestly, like, doesn't really, like, day-to-day life, it's not affected. Sometimes, like, people, like, the gym, I was, like, at LA Fitness a few days ago, and they decided to close early. I'm like, why are we closing early? She's like, oh, COVID. I'm like, so? Like, COVID only comes out. COVID doesn't come out at night. Like, what the fuck? Why does it make a difference? So I feel like a lot of people / entities are using COVID as an excuse to be lame, but day-to-day life, no, not really. What is your approach to cold approach girls during the day? Generally speaking, I try to be contextual. So, for example, say I'm walking my dog and I see another girl, hot chick with a dog, you know, probably not going to go super direct. I'm probably not going to be like, oh, you're hot. Like, I'm probably going to, you know, be like, oh, cool dog. What breed is that? I'll be like, oh yeah, this is a husky. Yeah, look at that. They're hitting along so well. You know, I'll be like, yeah, we should all go on a double date. You know, kind of segue like that. For example, I'm at a grocery store and, you know, a chick is like buying something, right? So I'm not going to go super direct. I have before and it doesn't work, but most likely I'll be like, ooh, like that's my favorite brand. She'll be like, really? I'm like, no, I'm just kidding. Like, I just want to meet you. Hi, I like your tattoo. And then like something like that, just go from there. So it's kind of a little bit more just like sliding in, but then quickly transition to like the girl knows why I'm talking to her. It's never like a mystery. Like, what does this guy want? Like, she knows within 30 seconds that, you know, I find her attractive, but I don't try to be super direct about it. I'm 31. I feel old and depressed. I mean, I'm 30. I'm going to be 31 in 6 months. I don't think your age really, that's not old at all. You're probably, if you feel old and depressed, it's probably because either your testosterone is low, you know, for whatever reason, poor diet, lack of exercise. You're just not living the kind of life that you want. You're stuck in a dead-end job or something like that. But it's not like the fact that you're 31, you're fucked. I mean, a lot of guys don't even hit their peak in terms of pussy and money until they're like late 40s, like early 50s. So, you know, so you still have a long way to go, my friend. What do you do when you can't think of something to say? Depends on what situation. So if it's on a date where we're like sitting down, then sometimes I'll just let there be silence, and then the girl will often find something to say. So I'll just sit there, just like, quite often she'll break the silence because she can't handle attention. Now, if it's cold approach or, you know, a situation where I'm on the street or something like that, then it's different because then the girl's reaction when there's silence and like tension might be to walk away. So at that point, I'll just say whatever bullshit comes to my mind. I mean, you can have some default things that you say. You can be like, well, I'm curious, what's your background or something like that? Like, where are you from? Like, oh, did you grow up here? Or like, you know, how long have you been in Miami? Like, whatever. Just like some default, non-gaming, normal shit that you could ask her, and then, you know, just kind of build off that. I've been living in a country where it's against the law for boys and girls to talk unless they're married. Recently moved to Ottawa. It was just like Saudi Arabia or something like that. I mean, it's a good thing you got out, man. That would be kind of hard to do game when it's illegal to talk to the opposite sex. I have zero experience with natural dating. All my relationships included some BS, like sneaking around, talking to women, for example, in bars. Any advice on where to start natural dating? I'm a little confused by what exactly you mean with natural dating. Can you elaborate on that? Because I'm not really sure what you're talking about. When do you decide to sext? What signs tell you to sext? It's a good question. So first off, I have a whole video on this on how to sexualize over text. So that's like the much more detailed answer. But in general, I would say that I'm going off like the vibe that the girl's giving me. And when I do sext, I don't go from 0 to 100. I slowly build up to it. So I'm going to send out like these feeler texts. I'm going to say something like, you know, I'm like, what are you doing today? She's like, I'm like, oh, how's your day going? She's like, oh, good, you know, just hanging out by the pool, getting tan. I'd be like, I might say something like, don't get me too excited now, or something like that. Like, getting tan for a date, right? That's like the first level. And I see how she responds to that. If she's like, oh yeah, like I like to get you excited, then that's a step for me to step up. If she's a neutral text, now I'll just go sideways. So I'm always like feeling out the situation, right? I'm never going. I think the mistake a lot of guys make is to go from 0 to 100. But generally, sexting should have a purpose, right? So the main purpose that I think sexting has, and I think this is the thing that a lot of guys get wrong. They just sext for the sake of sexting. No, you don't want to do that. I sext to get investment. If I feel that the girl is not giving me much investment, I feel like this might be a flaky lead, and I need to get more investment in order to really have a solid date and to really lock it in, then I'm probably going to try to transition to sexting. Also, I'll do it when the opportunity arises. So quite often, my sexting feels very natural because it's not like I'm thinking there, all right, shit, time to sex this, you know, this girl. It's more just like the opportunity presents itself with something she says. I might be like, that's what she said, and then just you kind of escalate from there. But yeah, definitely check out that video. I think explains this much better. Culture is so different. I want to learn. Have no idea where to start. I'm 25. Well, you've come to the right place, man. We have the YouTube playlist, so there's going to be, you know, getting started with online dating. Have everything there. You go on playingfire.com. We have Tinder 101 section, so that has a list of articles that you can go through. So honestly, I have pretty much everything you need to know right here. Yeah, same girl. Not really sure what this is in reference to. Are you? Yeah, yes. How do you open someone who you already know? Probably something contextual. So again, context is going to matter. Are we talking about on Tinder? Are we talking about on Instagram? Are we talking about on the street? Are we talking about at a party? Like context is going to be everything, right? So if it's if it's like at a party or on the street, be like, hey, I know you. And then like, yeah, I'm gonna just go off, whatever you guys have in common. Like for example, say you guys went to high school together and you guys didn't talk once, but you guys were in the same class or something like that. This doesn't give you much, but you might say like, yeah, I'll be like, damn, you look different since high school. You like something like that. And like just go off there and be like, how you been? Like what's been going on? Oh, cool. What do you do now? And then just kind of again riff off that. But you want to use the commonality to your advantage. If it's on Tinder, you can say like. Again, something like, I know you with a winky face or something like that. And then you just kind of keep going from there. Okay, so we covered this question. I've lately been seeing a lot of the lawyers in the mastermind that have little to no sexualization, just vibing with a banter and good text game overall. Yes. So my style has kind of changed in the last few years. I used to sext more heavily. Now I do a lot more like implied type of stuff where it's like more under the radar. That's not to say that I can't sex and I don't find it's effective. It's just for me, I just got to a point where my in-person game is just like really solid. So I know if I meet up with a girl, I can close the majority of the time, obviously. So I think that for like beginners, intermediate, sexting might actually be more important because if you're having a hard time closing in real life, you're gonna make things a lot easier when you set it up over text. But just for me, I find that like a middle ground approach works the best. Where I have like this fun, flirty, sexual vibe, but I'm not super explicit about it the majority of the time. So there's of course exceptions based on the vibe the girl is giving me. Okay, let's get the question. At the end of the day, how much do you think it matters to sexualize instead of sexual frame? It really depends on the girl. For some girls, it might hurt you. Some girls, it might help you. Some girls, it might make no difference. As long as you do it right, it's not necessary. I think, okay, so there's a difference between sexting and setting a sexual frame. And setting a sexual frame is very vague. Like it could be just a solid man to woman vibe, or it could be, very explicit. So to answer the question, every single interaction I have, it's a very strong man to woman polarizing vibe. It's very clear that I'm not trying to be her like fucking best friend or something like that. I'm not her like gay best friend, or I'm not gonna like run around and be her bitch. It's like that part is very clear. Every single girl that I talk to. Now, how explicit I am with my sexting is going to depend on the vibe that I'm getting from the girl, and also depends on how much she's investing. Like, for example, if I'm getting a very strong DTF vibe and she's investing a lot, well, I don't really need to sexualize. It's already kind of, she's still going to come over and she's still investment, so she's going to show up. So it's not necessary, right? So I'm a huge believer in like not overdoing shit and just doing what is actually necessary instead of just like fucking doing shit for the sake of doing it. I didn't know when to calibrate waiting 2 days to re-engage a girl versus waiting a long or say a week. It's a good question. A lot of this is I'm going off the vibe that I'm getting. So, for example, why is she not responding? Like, has she told me previously that she's on vacation or that she's finishing up a big work project or she's studying for finals, right? If that's the case, then I'm definitely going to wait longer. I'm just going to wait until this event is over and hit her up in like a week or 2 weeks, right? How many times have I had to re-engage? Is this the first time re-engaging, or is this like the third or fourth time? So there's all these things that kind of go into consideration. And then I'm going to, make the decision. But it should be at least 2 days, unless there's a huge time constraint. Unless, for example, it's her last night in the city or it's her last night in the city or whatever. There's just like a big time constraint. Then, it doesn't matter. But, assuming it's not bad, you should be a little patient. Hey, I found your channel a few days ago, already having much more success on Tinder. Glad to hear, man. Welcome to Playing with Fire. How do you game? Okay, so we answered that question. I'm 19. I find more easy to wheel older women. I like 26 to 40. Then I'm with girls my age. Any insight why that might be? It's hard for me to say without knowing you. This would be very easy for me to answer if you were like in front of me. I could just go. But it could be any number of things. It could be. For example, you feel more confident with older women because you feel like they're less desirable. So you're just more at ease. You're just more confident. Kind of like, it's not often that guy has, social anxiety when some old lady, starts talking to him about something random. Like he's not like anxious or trying to think of what to say because he doesn't, put her above him. So it could be that. Could be that you are, you come off very mature, or you're like kind of an eclectic person, and you have some interests that younger girls can't relate to. So it could be any number of things, man. American Western girls think Indian guys are needy, thirsty, desperate, which gets us the back door from the get-go, how to tackle and move forward in this country. So Indian PE is an Indian guy. He's as Indian as they get. He has the Indian accent, bald head of hair. He likes to eat Indian food. Like this guy's Indian as fuck. So, and he does quite well with white girls. So I think he can answer this question a lot better than I can. We did an interview several months ago where we kind of talked about how to get laid as an Indian guy in America. So check that out. That's probably going to be your best resource. Hey, Alex, as a girl, how should I feel when creepy guy starts coming on to me? Thanks. I mean, you can't really control how you feel. I guess the question is, how do you act? How do you react? I mean, again, this is going to come down to you, but generally, like, is there malicious intent or not? Like, is the guy, for example, just awkward and he doesn't know what to do? Okay, well, that's not like, he just doesn't know any better, right? So then you just direct him to the Playing with Fire channel, and you help the brother out. Or for example, maybe you like him and you find him attractive, but he's like nerdy or something like that. Then you probably want to give him that benefit of the doubt. You got to keep in mind that for a lot of guys, going up to a random girl that they don't know, who they like, is very hard. And they like, it's not that they're doing consciously, subconsciously, they're putting on a little bit of front. Versus, let's say you get to know them a little bit, they're much more, relaxed, normal, whatever. But if there's malicious intent, then obviously you just want to get out there. So I'd be like, hey, I gotta go, and then just like bounce out of there. Bar eventually, okay. What else we got? Tips for you if you still live at home. Depends. Do you have a hot stepmom, or is it just? No, I mean, I would say if you still live at home, the ideal is that if you get to a point with your parents where they're cool with you bringing girls back. Like for example, when I stay at my mom's, when I visit her in the summer, like I can bring any girl back. Like she knows what's up. She doesn't care. So whatever. So ideally, you want to get to that point. I think a lot of guys are really afraid to talk to their parents about this. Like they're just like super paranoid, but in reality, the parents don't give a shit. Like I remember I was like super paranoid when I was 19, 20, talked to my parents about weed. That's back when I used to smoke weed. And I was kind of into it, but then I was like, oh shit, I can't have them find out. But now, like me and my mom will discuss weed all the time. I'd be like, hey mom, I got some new weed. Like we should smoke when you come. Like it's just become so much easier. Like so a lot of stuff that you think is a big deal is really not a big deal. What do you think is okay? So this is different. If running soft close sequence, when you ask her for what her schedule is like, she took 3 days to reply. If you're still going hard close, what's next move? How would you get her to, body temperature up again? I would say I would kind of playfully call it out. I would say you thought about that for a while, or like, like this. Hard question mark or something like that, but you'd probably say like you thought about that one for a while, like playfully call it out. At that point, she'll be like, "Oh, sorry, I meant to respond earlier," and then just go for them. Be like, "That's cool. What's your schedule like this week?" And then go for the harder close. What do you consider prime age range for gaming? I'm in my 20s and think at my peak since I'm able to get with younger and older girls. Good question. I think first of all, it depends on the kind of girls that you're going for and what you do for work and where you live. But generally speaking, in the U.S., assuming you're an average guy, I would say prime age is probably, honestly, late 20s, early 30s. I think that if you're in your early 20s, you're still not in your prime. Like, if you keep it up, like if you're right now, you're 22, 23, and you keep going on this trajectory, like when you're 30, you're going to have a lot more success. Like right now, for example, I'm 30 years old. I'm having more success with women than I ever had, It's not that I'm going out more. In fact, I'm going out less. It's just that I've learned a lot of things and I've evolved, So I guess that's my kind of answer to that. Oh, you're Indian P. That's cool, man. Okay, so it's what first date would you do with a girl who won't meet you at your place, her place, or your comfy SUV? I would try to figure out why. So I'm big proponent of finding the underlying reason for things. Right? Is it purely safety? or is she approved, right? That's an important determination you need to make. So I would try to figure this out by saying, I invite her to my place. She's like, oh, I can't come over. I'll be like, stranger danger, question mark. And then she might say, I'm just not the kind of girl that goes to a guy's house. It's more approved. Or she's like, yeah, it's not a good idea because we don't know each other, And, there's some crazy people out there. And that would be more of the safety concern. So in that case, I would just meet her at a bar that's as close as possible to my place. And then, go do the public date thing, escalate, build some comfort, and then just pull her back to my place. But if you're going to meet in public, you always want to meet at a bar that's close to your place. A lot of guys make the mistake that they meet at a bar that's close to the girl's place, and then they try to pull to her place at the night, and the girl's like, I have 5 roommates. So again, that's just like lack of, planning. Okay, what questions are we at? Damn, these are rolling in. Would you say low investment, wait about a week, high investment, wait about 2 days? Low investment, no, I wouldn't really say that. I think that, again, it's going to come down to more of how many times you've already re-engaged, and also what do you think the underlying reason for her lack of response is? What does she mean if she doesn't want a touch by me because she said it tickles, but she's touching me? I think that probably means exactly what it sounds like. It's tickling her. So just touch her in a different place and touch her in a different way, Like if for example, you're touching her like rib cage and she's like, it tickles, and she's touching you, then just touch her in a different place. So, somewhere where she's not ticklish. I'd be like, don't worry, like I can make it not tickle. And then just like hold the tension. And then just like kind of like brush past her hair, and then, just go for the makeout or something like that. Boys, if you're in this chat, you're already lost. It's not very nice, Emily Robinson. Good Ryan Gosling question. Offer her. Okay, so this is an answer. I have my dog watch PWF. Now I have a wolf. Yeah. Having a wolf is very helpful. Sometimes I'll just be like walking my dog, and then I'll hear like little kids who are like 3-4 years old. Mama, it's a wolf. They get like so scared and shit like that. It's pretty funny. What's the black equivalent of the Ryan Gosling name? Idris Elba. I actually don't know who that is. What about for other ethnicities? Honestly, dude, I think you're good sending the Ryan Gosling name even if you're black. I don't think like that matters. So I really don't think your ethnicity matters at all when it comes to your ability to send that meme. I don't know any equivalencies off the top of my head. I'm sure there is definitely a lot, but I don't really know any. Hey, any tips on translating your text into another language is harder than it sounds? Yeah, dude, I totally get that. It is kind of hard. A lot of stuff doesn't translate well. So if you're using Google Translate, you want to keep things as simple as possible. So I have an article on the website. It's called like How to Text Girls Latin American Edition. So it kind of goes into this in extreme detail. But you want to be very simple and straightforward. So you want to say simple things that are going to translate well. Right? You don't want to, like, even hey trouble is not going to translate well. Like, you want to avoid anything that's complex or like too witty or something like that. And just really simplify everything you say if you're, texting foreign girls. Girls keep ghosting me after the first day. What should I be doing the first day? Well, so I can almost guarantee that if girls are ghosting you after the first day, it means that you're not banging them, right? So sex is not happening. So if you want to minimize the ghosting, then have sex happen on the first date, and you're going to be ghosted a lot less. Now, in terms of why the sex is not happening, that could be any number of things. Maybe you're failing to escalate. Maybe you're overeager. Maybe you're needy. Like, it could be any number of things, and it'll be hard for me to just give you a blanket answer. But basically, simple answer is improve your in-person game so that you can close on the first date. Specifically said, I want to meet you, but rather sit across from you than next to you. You could troll her and you could say, like, what about on top of me with a winky face? That could be one thing. I might even do that if I wanted to be ballsy that night. You can say, at this point, I would say, yeah, I would just say, all right, cool. I know a good spot, right? And she'd be like, where? And then you just pick a bar that's close to you. I might ask you about this in the mastermind soon, but what if we want a relationship with a relationship oriented, not down for hookups, prude, as you said before, girl? That strategy change? So first of all, I think it's important to explore why you want a more prude type of girl to be in a relationship with. I think a lot of guys have this impression that if if a girl has a very low lay count, she's more likely to be loyal, she's more likely to be faithful, and I don't think that's true at all. I think there's actually no correlation. The only extent, if a girl has a super duper obscenely high lay count, then yeah, probably she does have like a sex addiction. But aside from that, like I don't think it makes a difference in terms of loyalty or anything like that. But in terms of if you want to, yeah, I mean, I would generally the strategy that's always worked well for me is I try to have sex, as fast as possible, as long as the girl's comfortable with it. And then from there, after sex, then I kind of start feeling out. I'm like, okay, we have good sexual chemistry. We have good pillow talk, we're vibing. Then I'm gonna keep trying to get to know her, right, and go from there. Versus I've never liked the strategy of like I'm gonna wait a while and be patient and then sleep with her. Ultimately it's gonna be special. I'm gonna sleep with her when she's my girlfriend. She's gonna appreciate the fact that I'm not like every other guy. I just don't think that's an effective strategy. So the only thing I would say is the only caveat is do more cutesy type of shit. So like after sex, make sure you cuddle with her. Talk about shit. Maybe for like the second date, you could do like invite her for a drink at a cool place, or just more not like weird activity dates, but you would do more like, hey, let's go out for drinks, instead of like coming straight over. But again, I still think that the optimal approach is because sex is the ultimate form of investment for a girl. So if you guys have sex, pretty fast, she's gonna be a lot more invested, and then also like the pressure is off. Like you're not putting on a front, she's not putting on a front. You guys feel more both at ease. So then you can really start to get to know the person. Girl I've been flirting with and she is shit testing, but I know she's interested. I like her friend more. Should I go for the friend? I texted her a few jokes, not receptive. Might think I'm too much of a player. Dude, again, depends on the context. Where do you know this girl from? Is she a family friend? Did you just meet her on Tinder? Did you meet them out and about at a bar? Really depends on the context. But if the friend is not receptive, that's going to be hard. It's also, you might be setting yourself up for a very difficult situation, because especially if the girls have talked about you. Like, for example, vast majority of people, girls as well, are going to pick their friends over you, especially when they don't know you. So if you're like going from that girl to the other girl, and they're going to probably talk about it, and they're going to be like, what the fuck does this guy want? And then they might both disappear on you. I actually had this situation literally 3 weeks ago. I matched with a cute chick on Tinder. We were talking, and I was like trying to get her out. And then another chick a week later, right? And I'm talking to both of them. And at one point, one of the chicks hits me up. She's like, you have a good taste in women. I was like, why? And she's like, and she sends me a picture of this other chick. She's like, that's my best friend. I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, small world. She's like, yeah. She's like, listen, I'm going to bow out of this. I'm just going to let you have my friend. You guys are going to get along better, right? So then this one chick bows out. And then the other chick also fucking disappears. So I think that you want to, avoid that. Have you ever had bratty girls try and tool you when you think you've gone to logistic stage, like tell you she's alone at home, or then act like it's a terrible idea? I don't know if that's so much tooling as her teasing and trying to get a feel for your vibe. So I think there's a big difference between a girl tooling you and a chick, for example, being on the fence or something like that. So I've had pretty much every type of situation known to man. I've had like where he gets like to that end point and the girl starts backpedaling. So at that point, I'm trying to figure out what exactly she's nervous about. That's a good time to actually do a phone call. So like if we have a date set up and she starts backpedaling, she's like, I don't know you that well. I'd be like, I understand. Let's chat on the phone for a minute or two and see if we click, right? And then at that point, you get her on the phone. So that's what I think is actually a phone call is going to be to your advantage. Hey, bro, I must say that your lines work most of the time, but I met a girl who got offended by what I text her. I'm not that kind of girl type. Depends on the context. First of all, nothing ever works 100% of the time. So my own lines don't work for me 100% of the time. So, most of the stuff I suggest is just optimal, but it's not going to be foolproof. There's no such thing as foolproof texting, foolproof, cold approach, whatever. It doesn't exist because people are different. It really depends on what the line that you got offended for. But generally speaking, I don't like to apologize unless I really did something wrong. If I did something really fucked up, then I will apologize. But aside from that, not going to happen. So I would just hold your frame, generally speaking. But yeah, make a post in the mastermind with the screenshots, and then we can, or in the forums, and then I can give you a more specific answer. How important are smiling pictures in a group picture? Group pictures, not important at all. They're good for Instagram, but just for Tinder, Bumble, whatever, they're not necessary at all. I mean, if you do them right, they'll definitely help. but they're not necessary at all. Like, I don't have a single group picture on any of my dating apps, and I still do, very well. Smiling pictures, it depends on the vibe that you give off. So if you look, say you have like a little bit of like a serial killer face or something like that, then a smiling picture might be good. But I don't think it should be like 1 or 2 pictures. Most of your pictures should not be smiling. What's your opinion on cold approach right now, especially during COVID? I just haven't gotten any matches on Tinder, so I have been cold approaching. Also, haven't been successful with cold approaching. It's going to be harder, man. Also a big part of this depends on where you live and how serious COVID is in that state or in that country. So that's a huge factor that's outside of your control. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. An easy hack I have for you is look for, like, when you see a girl, see if her face mask is on her or she's not wearing one. So if she's not wearing a mask, she's going to be much more receptive to talking to someone on average than a chick who's wearing a mask. Does she have it fully on her face, or is it just kind of hanging there? So yeah, it's nothing wrong with it. I would approach hot girls that you see. Don't bring up COVID unless like she actually brings it up. I wouldn't like even go there. I'll just play like normal. If she seems like as you're standing there, she seems like she's backing up, then at that point, just kind of like maintain your distance as well for a little bit until she feels comfort. You can even call it out. Be like, don't worry, I just got tested. No COVID here, or something like that. Heard of the Shogun method? No, is that Shogun? Is that for MMA or I don't know? Sorry, I had to hop off the line for a long time. What do you say about PWF format? It currently exists, but it's for members only right now. We released it 2-3 months ago. What's the average range of guys you coach? I'm assuming you mean age range. Really varies. Generally speaking, they're going to be like 20 plus. I don't get too many like 18, 19-year-olds. So 20 plus, under 40, between 20 and 40, I would say is the average customer. But I have guys who are over 50 in the mastermind. I've coached guys that just turned 18. So it really runs the gamut. Yeah, okay. Is 20 a good age to start using Tinder in your guide on it? I am only 18. Yeah, dude, there's no such thing as a bad age, right? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, you're probably gonna get more results when you're like 21 or whatever. You can even like lie about your age. You could say you're 20, but it's not necessary because there's a lot of hot 18-year-old girls there's gonna be a lot of 18-year-old girls who won't match with me simply because they only like guys between the age of 18 and like 24, right? So you're gonna have some possibilities. Now, there's of course gonna be other girls who actually only want older guys. So yeah, I think it's a fine age to start. If I'm in my early 20s, I still live with my family, should I focus on my SMV or game? Both. So you want to focus on both, not mutually exclusive. You should always be focused on SMV. So pretty much every single day I'm doing something to improve my sexual market value, whether it's going to the gym or something along the lines of that. And of course, game, until you get, like right now, I'm not actively trying to improve my game simply because it's already like, I feel like at a decent point. Of course, there's more room to grow, but it's like I'm more focused on like business right now, gym and shit like that. And, like maintaining my booty calls or like crazy sexual situations or shit like that. But yeah, I would say focus on both. Hit the gym, focus on all the aspects of your SMV, and also hit on girls. Okay, she's the one who followed me because even though she's the one who followed me because I talked to her when she was with her friend, she just sent laughing emojis. That's it. Yeah, so she's not receptive. It's going to be harder. I would just focus on the chick who's more receptive to you. It's for both. So you have iPhone and Android version. How do I ask where? So you go to forums.playingfire.com and just make a post. It's super straightforward. Yeah, so forums.playingfire.com. We got you, dude. Okay, so what's next? Okay, would you ever consider doing a weekly Zoom call with PWF paid members? Yeah, I would. I would be open to that. If a lot of guys in the mastermind want it, like if there's a majority of people who want me to do that, I'll do that. I don't mind. Okay. I don't know a hot tub, but I own a boat, so how would I rephrase your hot tub to GHP modified? Oh, okay, good question. Right. That's a good question. I would say just got back from sailing. Uh, just finished some work. Gonna go for a little bit of a sail or something like. Uh, just got back. Just got back from sailing. Gonna whatever. Gonna drink a beer or something like that, or just chilling. Just chilling in the ocean, or something like that. Again, like you don't want to actually say I own a boat, but just get that point across. Okay, so this is a question not for me. Elaboration, like talking, interacting to girls in everyday situations or in bars, because it was illegal to do anything with a girl. So all my experiences around, there's actual police for this. That's crazy. What country do you live in exactly? Did you used to live? I'm talking to 5 girls. None of them can hang out because of lockdown. How can I keep things warm without being needy? So I have a whole video on this. How to keep leads warm is like the second or third last video on the channel. So just check that out. It explains this in extreme detail. But also I would say if out of 5 girls, none of them can hang out, you're probably not like pushing enough. Like I would try a lot of girls, they might give you the Corona thing, but you can convince them to hang out. So I also have a video called How to Get Laid During Corona. So you can check that out as well. It's going to help you. What do you mean by when you go sideways? I don't really know what you mean by this. Yeah. So, okay. So for example, if I say, if I make a sexual statement, something to sexually escalate, I'll be like, let me give you guys an example. So if I say like, it seems like you have one of my weaknesses as well, right? You're talking about her booty. Now, that's a pretty, low-key statement. Now, if she bites on that and she says, haha, yeah, my ass is nice, then at that point, I might take it one step further. If she backtracks and she says, something like, something that's like, oh, let's not talk about my ass so soon or something like that. Well, then I'll probably think she's a prude, so I won't be that interested. But if she takes a step back, then I'll take a step back. But if she goes sideways, that would be something like she makes a joke. She says, haha, are we talking about my red hair? And then I'll say, no, the other one. Something like that. Are we talking about my dog? I say, no, the other one. So I'm also going sideways with her. I'm not moving things forward. We're both going in like this direction. How do you know if you're shadow banned Tinder? Well, if you were getting a lot of matches at one point, now you're not getting any matches. There's a good chance that you probably did get shadow banned. Honestly, a lot of dudes get shadow banned for doing constant resets. So just be careful with that. If your profile, for example, is getting a lot of matches on Bumble and Hinge, but it's not getting any on Tinder, that might be a sign of shadow banned. But there's actually a lot of technical articles on this on Google. So just Google, how do I know if I'm shadow banned? There's a lot of people. I'm not really good with technical shit. So that's why I haven't made any like very technical videos on like reversing shadow bans or something like that. But there's a lot of sources like that out there. I've grown out my beard like you. My Tinder pics are me being clean shaven. Do you stick with the clean shaven pics? Well, no, my pics, but honestly, dude, I've had like a beard like this for the last 7-8 years. So I don't have any pics that are me clean shaven because I don't shave. I trim. So for that reason, all my pics are kind of like this. I think if the beard is helping your sexual market value, if chicks seem to like it, then it's probably a good idea to get some pics of you with a beard. But it's not necessary. Like if you have a solid picture where you're not wearing a beard, that's okay. You can post that as well. Chicks aren't going to be like, you have a beard, catfish. How much time should I spend on Bumble to get effective results? It's not so much time. Some guy might think it's a tricky question because some guy might take him 5-10 minutes to come up with a text, and some guy might take him 5 to 10 seconds, right? So but they're still accomplishing the same amount of work. But generally speaking, it shouldn't need to be more than an hour a day. Like really, this stuff should not take that long. Like it shouldn't be, like sometimes I go days without checking my Tinder Bumble. And then, like I'll pop on one day and just mass blast everyone. I mean, the more time you spend, generally speaking, you will get more results, but it's also like a diminishing returns, right? So, you want to find a nice balance, basically. What's view on marriage? Same view as Dan Bilzerian has. I'm not opposed to the idea of living with a girl. I'm not opposed to monogamy. I think that ultimately at one point in my life, I will be in a monogamous relationship, probably when I get a bit older, when, I'm not going to try to fuck around or anything like that. I feel like marriage, though, is usually not going to be beneficial to the man. Like, I think that why not just live with a girl and do everything together and spend time with her? Like, that marriage thing is just like this. I feel like it's like this thing that's hanging over your head, because if you get to a point where you guys, don't like each other anymore, well, now you have to get divorced. You can lose 50% of your assets. There's a lot of stories of guys who were married and now they're, lost a lot of money simply because they got married instead of, whatever, just living with a girl and hanging out with her. So I just don't see any reason to bring the government into your relationship. The only reason I might get married is if it's really important to the girl that I'm dating. Like, for example, her family is religious, something like that. And I know it's really important to her. And, it's not that there's a reason why it's important to her. Like, for example, it would make her in-laws so happy. So in that case, I might consider it with a prenup, of course. But yeah. What's your opinion on trying to get with females you work with? How would you go about it? Appreciate if you work closely with them. Yeah, so really big question is this your career? Is this the company that you really want to grow in? Or is this just like a temporary job for you? So that's a huge difference. So if it's something that, you're like, this is like important, this is a company, you just got an interview there and you just got the job and you want to really grow in that company, then I would be very low key, if anything. You don't want to get me too. So there's a lot of other places to meet girls, so I wouldn't risk it, unless the girl is obviously coming on to me. Now, if it's a job that I didn't really give a shit about that much, I would just use the work thing as an in. I might just flirt with her a little bit at work. Be like, oh, what are you doing this weekend? She's like, oh, I'm just doing this. I'm like, cool. I was actually going to grab a drink. You want to join? We can discuss, Mr. fucking Hyman over there or something like that. She'd be like, haha, okay. So I would just I wouldn't be super explicit in the work environment. I would kind of get her out, and then I would escalate from there. Okay, so this is a different question. Need further help. What do you think about NoFap? Oh, it's funny you say that. I'm actually literally in the process of making a video on this. For me personally, I can only speak for myself, but for me personally, it's been quite helpful. Growing up, whatever, when I was like 16, 17, I used to jerk off all the time. And I find that when you're on a date with a girl and it's maybe a little tricky, and you're like, fuck, I don't need to do this. I can just go home and jerk off to fucking Lisa Ann, right? That's like, it's going to be easier for you to just like be like, whatever, and kind of give up. Versus if you know that the only way you're going to bust a nut is if you pull and sleep with this girl, you're going to be a lot more of like a determined closer. So I do think there's generally a lot of advantages to that. Personally, I never did NoFap. Some guys I know do it because, they have a hard time sexually performing if they're jerking off. Personally, I never had that issue. But for me, it was more of just like the drive. Like, I just find that I have more drive and just like, I'm just going to be more likely to close. I'm just going to be more persistent if I don't have that easy escape, right? It's almost like, you're at the gym, right? And you're doing a really fucking hard workout. And then like, like your buddies are like hanging out next to you. It's going to be really easy for you to just chat with your buddies. Because you're stuck in the gym. You have to get through this workout, whatever. Then you're going to be more like kind of driven. There's like no easy way out. How do you open someone outside of online dating? So I kind of answered this question earlier. Just generally speaking, I'll try to be contextual. If there's no contextual way, then I might just say, hey, I thought you were really cute. I want to say hi. I'm Alex. Like, just straight up, simple, straightforward, non-weird, non-creepy. I'm not going to do anything gamey. I'm not going to be like, oh, who lies more, men or women? Like, all that shit is retarded. So ideally contextual, something like going off like, hey, cool tattoo. Where did you get that? Like, oh, cool. I actually have one here. Yeah, look, they kind of match. And then just kind of build off that. But if not, then I'll just go direct, straightforward. Okay, so. Okay, I'm recovering alcoholic. It's very important. What kind of. Yes, so good question. So for you, it's legitimately like, you're not one of, like a lot of people, they say they don't drink, but they can have a drink or two, but you actually legitimately can't have a drink. So for you, it is important to stay away from alcohol. I would invite her. There's a lot of things you can do. You can invite her to, you can say like, come join me for some mocktails or something like that. I make a mean Shirley Temple or something like that. Or, you can say you're going to cook for her. Like, that's not my style, but it's going to be your thing. Or you can say, come join me for tea. Right? I've done even kratom closes where I'm like, hey, you have a lot of neck pain. Like, have you ever heard of kratom? And then I literally had a kratom close like a month ago. So there's a lot of different avenues you can take. How involved do you choose a name playing fire? Oh, good question. So that credit to that goes to Chris Wilde. So when I was starting the group, I had some ideas in mind, and I basically pitched it to the people who I knew at the time. And Chris Wilde was like, "Yo, go with playing with fire." I was like, "Really?" He's like, "Yeah, that sounds good." And like I asked my friends about it, and they're like, "Fuck, I love that name." So that's really kind of came from there. There's no like special significance. Friend and her friends that I've already flirted with, all the shit. That's someone I want to be receptive. Yeah, so this kind of goes back to that. Just go with a girl that's being more receptive to you. The swipe surge on Tinder actually do anything? To be honest, I don't really know. I haven't tested extensively. Like I have Tinder Gold, and basically when I log into my Tinder profile, like I'll show you guys. Like I'm gonna log into my Tinder profile, right? So last time I went through this was probably this afternoon, like maybe 6 hours ago. And then I'm popping in, and I have like, look, I just have like, I don't know if you can see this, but I have 27 likes. So I gotta go through all these girls and basically figure out which ones I like, which ones I don't. So I don't like do boost, I don't do whatever, any of that shit, just simply because I don't need to. Yes, I heard about that for the first time literally a week ago. Too extreme for me. I think this takes all the fun out of fucking. Like at the end of the day, like you only live once. I'm not gonna try to fuck girls and not come. Like that's gonna be extremely frustrating. So yeah, that's too extreme for me. Maybe it does have some merit, but fuck that. Like if you're fucking a girl, you want to come on her face or whatever, come on her ass. Like that's just taking the fun out of like whatever sex. Also, actually to go back to this question, some girls will actually get pissed off or hurt that you don't come. I've had that happen several times when I was just kind of drunk and I couldn't come. Like some girls would be like, "Why can't you come?" And they'll literally think that's something wrong they did. Like they're like, "Is it me? Am I ugly? Like, what do you not like about me? Is my ass not big enough?" So it's a lot of girls who are basically like, they're going to be like, "Well, why didn't he come?" And it's actually going to work against you. So pretty much every girl loves a nice big load of hot, steamy soup. All right, so which do you think is the top most important thing for success with women in general? Good question. So I just recently wrote an article on the 7 most important inner game frames. So I would say all of those, but generally speaking, I would say that belief in yourself. Like, and this is not just with women, it's with anything. Like, girls are just attracted to confidence. So if you think like, "Hey, I can get any girl," like you're not delusional, you're not like, but you're just like, "Hey, maybe not this girl, but I can get girls just like her. Like I don't need her." So just like strong like belief in yourself, and it's addictive. Like people love confidence. Even like myself. Like if I'm, in physical therapy, right? When I went to physical therapy for my neck, I had a physical therapist that was so confident that he was going to be able to help me with my neck injury that like I was like, shit. Like it's kind of just generates good emotions. That'll be the first thing. Second is not needing this. So it's just where you don't need the girl. Like you're confident, you're persistent, but you don't need her. You're not going to be needy or display any kind of low value behavior. I would say third is comfort with your own sexuality. So the girl. Well, first of all, the girl. Girls like to fuck. You know that you like to fuck, and you're not ashamed. You have no shame about being sexual, about expressing your sexuality, about going for what you want. Like you don't have any of these weird hang-ups. So I'd say those are probably the top 3. How do you answer when a girl asks your body count? I have much higher count than most guys my age. What's a good approach to go with in this test? Depends. Before sex or after sex. So if it's after sex, I legit will just say, I don't know, like 300 to 500. Like I give her my real lay count. Before sex, I'll just make a joke. I'll be like 0. I'm a virgin. And then she'll be like, "Come on, really?" I'll be like, "No, like, look, I'm so nervous right now. I can barely touch you. Like I would kiss you, but I can't." Like just very easy to just deflect. So I'll just deflect it with humor. I've honestly done that numerous times. Not once has a girl ever been like, "No, before this proceeds any further, you have to tell me your lay count." Just doesn't happen that way. So, as long as you can be, distract, just move in a different direction. What are some of your sexual spikes during a day game set in Whole Foods? So it really depends on the vibe I'm getting from the girl. I might say something like, "Damn, look at us meeting in the kale section. So romantic. Look at all this vegetation around us. So much leafy greens." Like as long as also in the way that how you say it, like, "Look, there's a carrot over there. Like there's a lot, like you can do things like that. For example, if I see a girl has a lot of shit in her shopping cart, I might analyze her shopping cart and be like, damn, so what are you going to make me for dinner with all of this? Because I'm not easy. She'll be like, oh, I don't know, I can make some pasta for us. I'm like, we're going to throw some steak on there, some big juicy piece of meat. Just kind of go in that direction. But it's important to be calibrated. My guy asks, what's up, Prince-O? How's it going, bro? Yeah, if you guys haven't seen it, me and Mr. Prince-O, we did a live stream on his channel a week ago. It was a really good one. I enjoyed that interview a lot, so definitely check that out. Okay. Trying to figure out where I was in the comments. Damn. Sometimes it just knocks you off. You're looking at the comments and then you just forget where exactly you were. Okay, this is odd, but we're just gonna. Sorry if I'm missing anyone. All right, how do we engage? How do we engage after friend zoning her? If you're the one that friend zoned her, it's gonna be a lot easier. So I would just. I feel honestly there's been only a few girls that friend zone, but I feel like I could bang them like that if I was the one that friend zoned them. So I might just say what are you up to this weekend? I'd be like, I want to see my favorite friend, in quotes or something like that. The key difference is whether you've banged her in the past or not. So if you never banged her in the past, then it might be hard because she friend zoned you, you friend zone her. Versus if you've had sex in the past, it should be easy as pie. Just escalate basically. How do I super chat? I'm tripping. How do I super chat? I'm not really sure what super chat is. What do you do when open a girl and she answers something logic? I know I should reopen, but how do I kill time before reopening? What do you do when you open a girl and she answers something logic? I'm not really sure what the question is here. I know I should reopen, but how do I kill time before reopening? Yeah, can you rephrase this question? Because I'm not really sure what you're talking about. Why do so many girls have dogs on their profiles and also those animal face filters? Dude, because dog owners love dogs. I didn't really understand this until I got my dog, but when you get a dog, you just love that creature more than anything. So you just you just want to take pictures with it and stuff like that. I don't know how to explain it, but usually people are very passionate about their dogs. So actually easy, I found a really easy in is if I see a girl who has a dog picture, I'll be like, hey, is that your dog? And then she'll be like, yeah, haha. I'd be like, cool, I have a husky. And then bam, just instantly bond over that. And I usually just kind of talk about that for a little bit and then I'll move in a different direction. Like, cool, we should all go on a double date. It's been a while for Rhaegar, something like that. Or Rhaegar just got snipped, so he's ready to go or something like that and just kind of move in a little bit more of a fun direction. So that's a really easy thing to bond over with girls. Okay. Any tips for cold approach? That's a very general question. You want to be calibrated. You want to. It should never be a question in the girl's mind why you're talking to her, right? She should never be like, is she trying to sell me something? You don't have to directly say it, but it should be expressed in your vibe. Good body language is key. You can have really the best verbal game if your body language sucks. You're gonna have a very hard time. And then just being smart, the conversation. A lot of guys think that a solid day game interaction needs to be long. You take her on an instant date. No, I've had so many lays from just girls who I talked to for 2-3 minutes. So get the conversation going, get her to feel comfortable, flirting a little bit, and then you can go for the number. Really, a lot of guys overcomplicate this. I open some I like your Spencer things. I want to make more persistent about being try hard. I like your aesthetic. Yeah, that's okay. I like your style more. It goes back to the whole thing about complimenting girls on things that they have control over and not control over. You can make the argument that aesthetics you kind of have control over. But if she says thanks, I would just go are you from here originally? Or is that your dog? Just change the topic. Just move it forward. Right? Don't get stuck on the opener. Low investment after sexualizing. So if she's low investment after sexualizing, it's a good idea. Good chance that she didn't appreciate your sexualization. So I would just try to figure out why she's being low investment. Did I make you shy? ? Something like that. Figure out what exactly is the situation. Okay, what's the best way or topic to initiate sexting? Again, it's just contextual. You have to like look for opportunities as they come. Like again, check out my video on how to sex, how to sexualize. I kind of give you several examples, but you want to just like kind of be open, and then when an opportunity comes, you want to just kind of capitalize on it. I mean, there's also a lot of things you can do consciously to lead up to it. Like you can ask certain questions that will then give you a setup. So check out the video. I talk about that as well. I'm very skinny, 190 pounds, 5'8" tall. Fast and get shredded. Oh yeah, you are skinny, man. You got to gain some fucking weight. TRT is going to be a big one. TRT and peptides. But, first of all, you want to probably get your testosterone checked. Just make sure that you're in a good range. If not, then yeah, definitely consider TRT. Really, it's calories in, calories out. So you want to just be in a calorie surplus every single day. Maybe one day where you're calorie neutral, but you have to figure out what your base rate for calories. Like me personally, I burn about 3,000 calories a day. I have an insanely high metabolism. So if I want to put on weight, I have to keep my calorie amount at like 3,500, right? So figure that out. And then also do heavy compound lifts. So, you don't want to fuck around with bullshit like little like fucking ankle curls or something like that. You want to do the key lifts like fucking incline press, squat, pull-ups, just all like the big, heavy, overhead presses, whatever, shit like that, and get progressively stronger on them while you follow a diligent diet that's ample in protein, and that puts you at a calorie surplus. That's the very long story short. Longest amount of time to wait before texting someone who's gone cold, a week, a month, 3 months. I think 3 months is a little long, probably a month. At a certain point, the person might forget about you. Honestly, I've hit up girls like years later where, like, for example, like it's a chick, didn't go down, and then she pops up on my Instagram, like, oh shit, she had big tits. And I'll just hit her up, like, you have nothing to lose, but generally a month. Okay, what if I keep getting one word answers like, are you from here, around here? And she's like, yes, I am. I was born here. So actually, this happened to me a few days ago. I had this one chick that kept giving me one word answers, and I was literally like, are you always this talkative? And she's like, haha. When I called her out, it was like a game changer. She's like, haha, sorry. And then she started investing. So yeah, sometimes you might just want to call her out a little bit. Only if it's necessary, though. Only if it's like when she's legitimately being low investment. Like, for example, are you from around here? That's kind of hard for her to give you a long response to that. Really, like, yes, I am. I was born here. That's kind of the response. She might say, what about you? But you can just at that point tell her, like, I'll say, like, cool, I'm from Russia or something like that. Super close, right? That's kind of like the little punch to it. That cool, I'm from super close, Russia, right? So she'll be like, haha, oh, really? Or like, for example, if it's Miami, I might say, a local, don't see too many of those. And just kind of riff off that. But generally, you want to alternate between making statements and questions. Like, you don't want it to be all questions. To all statements is also not the best. So you want to kind of alternate between those two. How to make a girl invest in a conversation. Yeah, so that's a very nuanced question. So check out the video I have on how to build investment with text. So I have a detailed video on this that's going to explain much better than I could in 30 seconds. Why care what they want? You know what they want. Well, because not every girl wants the same thing. Girls are individual people. Some of them want this, some of them want that. Some of them just want some dick that night, and some of them want a relationship. And there's, of course, everything in between. So, yeah, I mean, it's a good idea to get a feel for what they want, what they like. Wanting to prepare on poor way, keep consistent lifting, eating this much while still at maintenance, just about maintenance, guys, or day. Drinks. Yeah, I agree with this. I would just say the only thing is eat above your, especially if you're low body fat, eat like 300, 400, 500 calories above your maintenance. Because you're going to be basically bulking, and it's okay for you to just try to gain weight as much fast as possible, just bulk hard, and then do a little bit of a cut to like kind of chisel yourself down. But really, it's rare that, unless you're on steroids, it's rare that you just move in a perfect, bulking and like, shredded trajectory. Generally speaking, what most people do is they bulk, or they're just putting on muscle, and they also put on a little fat, and then they cut a little bit, like cut 5 pounds to get to their optimal look. If a girl comes to me and says, I'm beautiful in the club, how can you ice go without giving my power? She comes up to you and says, I'm beautiful. I would say, I would say like, thanks. Props for just not ogling me and saying hi. I'd be like, oh, thanks. You're pretty cute yourself, right? And just don't jump on it. Don't be like, thank you so much. Oh, you made my day. Or like, oh, you're so hot too. Just as long as you're not doing that, you're going to be okay. I want to ask out one of the dentist techs. What do you recommend? Because of COVID, she walks out alone to my car. Dentist techs. I'm not really sure you mean dentist techs. How would you ask her out? I'm not sure if you work at that place, or you just go there to get your teeth cleaned. That's going to be a big difference. But kind of was, if you guys work together, kind of going off what I said earlier, like, hey, what are you up to this weekend? Again, this is not just out of the blue. Like, you guys are shooting the shit, talking, like, hey, what are you up to this weekend? I'm like, oh, cool. Yeah, I was going to grab a drink. You want to kick back? Have a beer with me? Like, something like that. Just keep it casual, invite her out, then you escalate there. You don't want to be like fucking, I mean, it could work, but you don't want to be like just doing all the work in the office, right? You just kind of want to get enough attraction to get her out. Then from there, you just handle shit like a normal date. How to keep the mindset that she needs to chase you? Well, I wouldn't really say that's my mindset. I don't think a girl needs to chase me. I think she needs to be invested. Like, I don't want to be the one that's trying to always make this happen. But I know that sometimes, for example, if it's a really hot girl who has a lot of options before the date, I might be the one that's, I wouldn't say chasing her, but the one that's really working to make it happen. But after sex happens, then the dynamic shifts a little bit. So, yeah, I don't really, like, a lot of guys focus on all the wrong things. They're like, oh, how do I get her qualified? How do I get her to chase? How do I get her to do that? The reality with texting, really what you're trying to do is you're trying to screen, and you're trying to get her on a date with good logistics and a good pretext, right? So you don't want to get her on a super friend-to-friend date. So as long as you're establishing the proper frame and getting her on the date, that's kind of what 80% of it is. What advice do you give to someone in their mid-40s to have success on Tinder? I would say, first of all, Bumble and Hinge are going to be better for you, especially Bumble. So for that age range, you're definitely going to have most of your success on other dating apps. But generally speaking, you could two things. First of all, you could lie about your age and say you're in the late 30s, but it's not necessary. Just have good pictures. Ideally, you want to, like, the big hack I have for guys who are older is just be in good shape. So if you can show off your body, if you don't have like a fucking embarrassing dad bod, you actually have a good body, it looks like you have a social life and shit like that, then there's going to be a lot of girls who are going to be into that. Also, you want to kind of have the dominant, mature guy frame. So in that profile, you might want to say something like dominant or something like that. So you want to kind of have like a very, like sexy professor or like 50 Shades of Grey type of, vibe that you give off, like an older, successful, confident man. How do you handle the I don't fuck on first dates? Depends on how it comes up. I'd probably troll her, be like, don't worry, I hate sex too, right? So at that point, she's gonna be like, no, I don't hate sex, but I don't want to be slut shamed or something like that. If we're talking about in real life, I might say, don't worry, I hate sex as well. Yeah, I might say the same thing, but then I'm gonna try to figure out why she doesn't fuck on the first date. Like, why? There's no rule that says that she can't, right? So is it because she's worried about being slut shamed? Is it because she's worried that you're just gonna fuck her once and bounce? Is it because she's worried about, whatever societal perceptions? I have to figure out the underlying cause of why she doesn't fuck on the first date, and then I can address it. Is there something you look for when finding DTF chicks on Hinge? I mean, a big part of it is just like, I don't know. First of all, I can tell by the girl's vibe, like usually pretty accurately. Like, what kind of vibe is she giving me? But also, like the amount of clothes she's wearing in her pics. Like, if she has a picture of her in a bikini, like, it's not necessarily that she's DTF, but it's more likely she's dressed super conservatively. But of course, there's a lot of exceptions to that. So I'm not looking for specifically DTF chicks. That I'm going to figure out with texting. I'm looking for hot girls, right? My type of hot, which is big tits, nice ass, like relatively short. Like, that's the shit I'm into. I'm not going to be matching with like tall model looking girls simply because it's not my thing. Okay, what to do if this girl I'm texting is kind of interested, then acts cold, then hot again? That's pretty much women 101. So if she's alternating between cold and hot, I would just try to reward her when she's being hot and like by giving her faster and more detailed responses when she's cold, you want to kind of punish that, right? That's a very general idea. But, again, so especially when she's hot, you want to capitalize on that. You want to reward that behavior, and then you want to capitalize on it. I'm at the beginning of Tinder's interaction. When she still doesn't ask you anything, teaching myself wouldn't be presumptuous. Depends on how you go about it. A lot of guys DHV by trying to brag, which is actually DLV, right? So it depends on how you go about it. It should be like contextual. Like it should be, like I don't just randomly like I say, "Hey, Trouble." She's like, "Hey, how are?" And she says, "Hey there." I wouldn't say, "I'm chilling in my jacuzzi right now. What are you doing?" Right? Like that's obvious, right? When she says, "How's your day going?" I'd say, "Good, just relaxing in the jacuzzi. How about you?" So I'm getting the same exact point across, but one of them is going to be try hard and bragging, and one of them is just going to be a subtle DHV. All right, guys, I'm starting to lose my voice. We're going to go for another 20 minutes. How would I focus on demonstrating high value? So again, this goes back to the whole focusing on the wrong type of thing. Like, you want to basically demonstrate high value before she even matches with you, with your pictures, with your bio, with the general vibe that you give off. So that, the high value part should already be largely kind of established. Then you're just building on what she has. And it kind of goes back to just throwing things in the stream of conversation that are high value. So for example, one that I will do is good, just relaxing in my jacuzzi, which shows that I have money, that I like to chill outside, whatever, just brings up positive references. Another one might be just finished making a video. And the girl will be like, "Oh, video about what?" I'm like, "Oh, for work," right? Because, the girls will get interested in that. Like, "Oh, he makes videos. Like, I wonder if he's someone big or something like that." These are very relevant to me. Third, I might say, "Good, just hanging out with this guy," and send her a picture of my dog, which is also a DHV. I'm also like, in my picture, strategically show off my tattoo as well. So the girl will be like, "Haha, sexy tattoo and sexy dog," or something like that. So again, you want to subtly those things in there that like actually apply to you. Okay, so we answered that. As a female, this is funny. All right, I love this. We got more of a female audience. Good. Okay, so she's purposely ignoring my text, but whatever, she finally replies. She seems very interested. What does this mean? How do you know she's purposely ignoring your text? How do you know it's not accidental? How do you know that she's not busy? So what proof do you have, like, whatever objective proof that you have that she's purposely ignoring your text? A lot of guys sometimes take shit personally. They think that the girl's ignoring them. In reality, she's just busy. It's purely not personal. So if she's responding, when she finally responds, she's very interested. That really dictates to me that she's not purposely ignoring your text, that she's just busy with shit. So I wouldn't think too deeply into it. And then when she replies and she's very warm, just capitalize on that and move things forward to the meetup. Okay, so I've already answered this question like 3 times. First, I want to say you dropped the best online game content on the to real practical stuff. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Y'all are just making it so complicated. It isn't. Thank you for those words of wisdom, sweet tea. If my friend is really attractive guy model and girls ignore me when we're in public together, if my friend is really attractive and girls ignore me when we're in public together, should I go out by myself when I'm trying to pick up girls? Don't go out with them. Oh, that's a good question. That's a good question. You can, if your game is good, you can actually capitalize on his good looks. So I was in Prague, I remember, with this. I'm not going to name drop him. He's the guy. Some of you guys might know him. He's a fitness model, right? And at that time, I was like 145 pounds. I was skinny as fuck, right? I was like, my face was a little shrunken. This was after a month-long trip in Europe where all I did was drink coffee and drink. And so I remember one night we opened 2 girls, me and him. We're walking down the street. And the chick, within the first 30 seconds, she's like, "Hey, you're nice, but you're not my type." She straight up tells me that. I'm like, "Oh, what's your type?" She's like, "I like bigger guys." And then I literally take her hand. I'm like, "Here, meet my friend." And I put her hand on his abs. And I see her eyes line up. And then when I get that investment, then I kind of position myself to be the more DHV one and ultimately wind up banging that girl. So you can often use I would say try both. Try going out with him and try going out without him. But you can actively capitalize on your friend's good looks. Of course, because most girls also go out too. So the other chick is going to have a friend. As long as you're not, obese or something like that, as long as you're also decent looking, it's okay to have a friend that's much better looking than you. One I've been using recently is, hey, I like your style, with one of these. Seems to work pretty well. Okay. Do you have any thoughts, experience, or resetting Tinder in the same city with different info like location? Matt said. Yeah, it's okay to reset your Tinder once in a while. A lot of guys, they kind of get almost like addicted to doing resets because you get that initial boost of matches. So doing like resets like once every 2 weeks, and eventually they get shadow banned. But if it's been like a year or something like that, yeah, you can do a reset. You can also just change your bio occupation. It's not like girls are like keeping track. And the way Tinder is designed, like for example, say you and a girl, swipe left on each other. Like 4 or 5 months later, they're going to show you that same girl again. So I've had this happen numerous times. So it's okay, you're going to get a second chance with these girls just by, being on the app. But if you've never done a reset, can't hurt. What can I say to keep her interested and eventually get her to? Okay, so this is an incomplete question, but again, so check out the video, how to keep leads warm. It was like 2-3 videos ago. Okay, so I've already answered this question so many times. This guy's like mass trolling, like he just keeps asking, how do I don't fuck on the first date. I don't fuck on the first date. Dude, I've already answered this question. Just watch back this, the live stream. I've already answered it twice. Okay, any tips for sales, marketing, and business? I'm a DJ and record label owner. How would I, advice on how to, tips for sales, marketing, and business. Okay, so I thought you were initially talking about how to use your business to pick up girls. But in terms of business, I'm not in your industry, man. So you can definitely use the fact that you're a record label owner to your advantage with chicks. But I don't really know that much about the music industry, so I can only give you like general tips. One of the things I'll say is, again, check out some business books. Check out Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. That'll help you. But generally speaking, you want to, have really, really good customer service. So you want, like playing with fire, if you send an email in, you're going to get a response within 24 hours. If you're a member, I will answer your questions. Like, you're going to have good customer service, which builds loyalty. So that's why we get a lot of business through word of mouth, right? People will tell their friends. So you want to have excellent customer service. Like, I want my customer service of Playing with Fire to be better than any other pickup, whatever channel, anything like that. This is actually where a lot of pickup dudes go wrong. Like, they know how to create content, but they can't like answer people's emails or something like that, or do basic shit like that. So that's the first thing. Second of all is be able to display your value. Also, I'm a big proponent of putting out free value. So that's why I do a lot of these videos and stuff like that. I'm not worried that you guys are going to watch some of my videos and decide not to buy my product. I'm confident in the fact that I'm going to offer you guys so much value that you're going to see even more value in buying my product. And if not, that's okay too. So basically, again, put out a lot of value. I also am not a big fan of being super marketing. I know a lot of guys are doing that. They're sending blasting with emails every day. They're like fucking like really pushing their business down your throat. I'm not a big fan of that. I like to have, a good business proposition, and I will occasionally, of course, get that point across. Like, if you're signed up on our mailing list, you might get like a sales email from us like once a month, once every 2 months when we have a sale. But you're not going to get blasted every single day about this or that, which a lot of people are doing. So I would say those 3 things. But again, I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that's very specific to your industry. Okay, would you still recommend the mystery method, and where on the M3 model would we be at? I don't know what you're talking about, M3 model or C1, but generally speaking, no. I think the mystery method is highly outdated. So I'm also not a big fan of negs. I'm not a big fan of like he says, literally, it takes 6 to 8 hours to, get to the point where the girl will have sex with you. It's like pure nonsense. There is some underlying concepts there that are effective, but then you can look at like J Molf's, for example, product or his content, and he's like, he directly built off mystery method and involved it. So yeah, I just think it's very outdated. Muslim government countries, so any advice on where to start? So yeah, just start off by checking out, you're asking me a very general question. Start off by checking out the Playing with Fire content. Get on Tinder, get on Bumble, and just use the content and do that. Really, if you want to get an awesome head start, then buy the Playing with Fire product. It's only $169 right now, and join the mastermind. That's if you really want to kickstart things. How do I join the mastermind? So go to playingfire.com /buy product. And so you get the product, and the product comes with a month of membership for the mastermind. And then after that, you're going to pay $39 a month to stay in there. And obviously you can cancel at any time. You still get to keep the product and all that. We're not doing any like shit that some other people do where you have no choice but to stay signed up now. It's like the basic idea is we're going to offer you so much value that you're not going to want to quit for any reason. So yeah, just go there and you can check out their sales page. It kind of explains everything much better. How can I get more matches though? Better profile, better pictures, really. That's how it's going to give you more matches. Okay. I always dreamt a little buzz when I pick up girls and tips being up girls sober. I don't think there's anything wrong with, being a little buzzed. Like, alcohol is a social lubricant. Like, me personally, I don't really need it because, first of all, I think kratom works a lot better for me. So personally, that's what I use when I'm going to go out. I'm just going to take a little kratom. It's going to make me more social. I find that it has that same social lubrication effect without the downsides of alcohol. But honestly, you just have to force yourself to do it. So I remember when I first got into game, like 22, 23, I moved to LA. And at that point, I could only talk to a girl if I was like 5-6 drinks in, right? I could not talk to a girl sober. And I had a lot of wings I was going out with who didn't drink at all. And they're like, come on, dude, like, you're good when you're drunk, but you can't do shit when you're sober. Like, this isn't good. So I just challenged myself. Instead of 5 beers, 4 beers. And then a week later, 3 beers. Then a week later, 2 beers. And then force myself to do those awkward sober openers until you get to a point where it's really not a big deal anymore. No. Swipe right on girls that you find attractive. How much does a six-pack matter? Depends on your other aspects of sexual market value, but they're definitely a huge advantage. Like, they definitely help in a lot of ways. How do you deal with a girl giving you immediate responses all the time? It's a good thing. It means she's invested. So I would take that as a positive sign and start moving things forward and go for the date. If a girl cancels, says she's too nervous at the last minute, what would you do? I'll be like, I would say, what are you nervous about specifically? Or like, just try to figure out why she's nervous. Is it the fact that, she, for example, thinks that you only want to fuck her once, or is it purely safety? And then once I figure it out, then I'll take corrective action. So maybe I'll proposition a phone call. I'll be like, I understand. Well, let's chat on the phone for a minute or two and see how we click, right? Take the pressure off, get her on the phone, send her a voice memo that's like not nice in between. I'd be like, why are you nervous? Why are you nervous? I think we're going to have a good time, right? Something like that. Send her that voice memo. See how she responds to it. How do I know if a girl is DTF to change the most direct interaction? So check out the video on how to get laid the same night on Tinder. And I kind of give you several examples to explain that. How many pics? I have 6 pics on my profile right now. How do you pull back when a sexual push is rejected? It depends if it's in real life or it's on a dating app. So it's going to be a bit different. But generally, I just don't focus on it. I don't even really acknowledge it. I just, like, for example, okay, so I was on a date actually last night, right? And, this girl was a lot more on the conservative side, but whatever. Like, I started moving things forward. And then I went in for the kiss, and she, didn't fully reject me, but she just gave me a little, peck. Like, she kept her lips closed. It's okay. I just pulled back, smiled, and kept going with the conversation. I was like, all right, that was sexy as fuck. Like, kind of make a joke about it, and then just go back to the conversation. I don't make a big deal out of it. Then later on, 20 minutes later, 30 minutes later, when I went for the kiss again, she was a lot more open to it. So the key is not to get butthurt, and it's not to make a big deal out of it. You don't want to apologize. Like, you shouldn't be ashamed of the fact you're trying to escalate. Just simply act like it didn't happen. Not a big deal. You don't care. Don't get laid where you get paid. That's a rule, bros. Yeah, yeah, definitely. If you're serious about your job. 268 on NoFap. I think too lazy to check my phone. 360 a day on NoFap on October 19th. Okay. I mean, that's cool. Yeah. I don't know what else to say. Been seeing this chick in my rotation for about 2 months now. She's in the roller coaster of emotion. She has no idea what she wants. I want things to stay casual. Thoughts? So just keep things casual. So lead by example. Don't invite her to fancy dinners. Just have her, every time you guys hang out, have her come straight over and have a night of epic sex, right? So If you want things to stay casual, just keep it casual by your action. The mistake a lot of guys make is they want things to stay casual, but then they invite the girl on like a fancy dinner date or like to go see a movie. So they do datey type of activities with a girl they want to stay casual with. So yeah, if you want things to stay casual, just keep it casual. If you had a wine date on your romantic balcony for the first date, what do you normally suggest for the second date? So if I bang the girl, I don't even need to go through the pretenses. I'll just say, hey, want to come over? Like, I don't need to go through all that. Like, I just invite her straight over, right? Because I've already established that DTF sexual free. Now, if I didn't close it on the first date, probably will do the same thing. I'd be like, like for example, she told me she likes white wine during the date. I'd be like, hey, you should come over. I got this bottle. And send her a picture of like a white wine. So I'll just do the same thing. No need to overthink it. No need to get fancy. All right, guys, we're going to go for 7 or 8 more minutes until 11. How do you text, call a girl you're in a relationship with? Very similar to the way I text my friends. I'll just be very matter-of-factly. But also, I'll be fun. Like, a lot of guys overthink this. Like, I'm not doing any gamey shit. I'm just talking to them like I would talk to like a good buddy of mine. You're cracking jokes. The only difference is that there's also sexual undertones. But aside from that, making jokes and just being direct about making plans. When you bang your girl, like, things should get easier, not harder. Tell us about the mastermind. It's an awesome community where we got right now, I think, close to 500 people in the group chat. We have a lot of other assistant coaches. A lot of guys are active, but basically you post, when you have a question for feedback, anything, and we give you very detailed feedback. If you're in the mastermind and you have the option of, like, quite often I'll send people detailed voice memos. So, just kind of go into more detail. So basically think of like the level of customer service you receive in the free forums and multiply it by 100. What do you talk about on the first date? How not to run out of things to say, be interesting. So again, it goes back to what I was saying earlier. Say you're hanging out with one of your good friends. Are you going to be worried about running out of things to say or being interesting? No, like, you're just having fun. Shit is going to come to you. That's kind of the same type of idea that you want to have. Like, you don't want to try to be interesting. You don't want to like think about, you're just having fun, moving things forward, escalating, like really building sexual tension, fucking around with it. You're not trying to be interesting or put on a show, like impress or anything like that. Okay. Does sex increase the odds of sleeping with a girl? Yeah, for sure. If you get a girl, say you have 10 dates set up. 5 of them you sexted beforehand, and 5 of them you did. You're probably going to close a lot more from the first category, the ones that you sexted with. So it definitely helps if you do it properly. No time, bro. Happy to help. No problem, bro. Happy to help. Maybe I should reword my question. If I'm aiming to go out with a 9-10 things around with dudes that have re-guide jeans and good routine. No, it's not necessary because you can, if you have high status, you have solid game, you're able to build a connection. No, it's not necessary. It will definitely help. Like, and not even so much with that girl, with other girls in general, you'll also feel more confident. So, but it's not an instant thing. So my thing would be like, just hit on the girl the way you normally would while you're doing that, because it's going to take you probably a year. Work on your physique as well. All right, guys, we're going to do 3 more questions. Okay. Best way to sexualize most of the platonic conversation. Been chatting with an old coworker that's giving me signs. It's hard for me to give you exact lines because I don't know what contextual things you have, but I would use a lot of the we frame. So, go through my layer points, right? You always see me like, there's you can talk about yourself, you can talk about the girl, or you can talk both of us. Like, our date, or like, we're gonna be cute, like something like that, talking about the both of you. But honestly, it might not be even that necessary to super sexualize. Also, I would probably do a lot of contextuals. I would do a lot of callback stuff in that situation, kind of like make jokes about the office, like keep it fun, keep it flirty, and then, just go for the meetup. Like, it might not be necessary for you to sexualize it a lot, especially if she's giving you signs. Like, that might be the time to just smoothly set up the date. How to deal with shit when you call her out for not texting you back and she responds like she's not care. If she responds like she doesn't care when you call her out, then that means that she's probably not interested in you and you just need to move on. So when you say, are you always this talkative? If you get a response like, haha, sorry, I've just been super busy with work. How are you? That's a good sign. That means that it's not intentional. Like you have a good shot with her, right? If she responds like, cool, I don't give a shit, like the other extreme, then it's like, fuck this chick, like move on. How many likes a day are you getting into there? Like 20 or 30, 20 to 40 probably, something like that. Depends on how active I'm on there. Yeah, something along the lines of that. I would say maybe like 1 out of 3 of those meet my criteria. So actually match with them. All right, let's do. Do you have a vasectomy? I do not have a vasectomy. Never got one. Okay, I want to do one more good question. Okay, in cold approach, what's the best way to find out the girl's age? You don't need to, like, why is it necessary to find out her age? You could always say, like, that could backfire. I just wouldn't. I wouldn't even focus on that. Like, it's irrelevant whether she's 25 or 35. Like, why does it matter? If she's hot, she's hot, you know. Really, you're not going to really change anything you're doing based on her age. You're still going to act the same. So, you know, if she doesn't bring it up, why would you bring it up? All right, guys, we just went for about 2 hours. My voice is starting to run out, but thank you for everyone for joining. I mean, you can see we have still a shitload of questions. It would take me quite a bit to get through all these. But yeah, we're going to start doing these more regularly. We're going to do another one probably next week. We're going to keep these on Sunday. So if I didn't get to your question, then just save it for next time. Also, make sure to check out our mastermind group. So that's probably the best way to get fast responses from me. Or you can check out the forums. Those are kind of like a free version of that. All right, awesome, guys. Thank you, everyone, for joining. We have some awesome videos coming up this week. I have a video that's coming out this week on how to text cold approach numbers. So I'm looking forward to that one. The no-fap video is going to come out. And also, I did an interview with a mastermind member who was a virgin for a very long time. And I got him to share his story and what he needs to do to lose his virginity, and then we kind of analyzed and went over what's the best way for virgins to, basically game so that they can lose their virginity in the easiest way possible. So that's going to be an awesome video that is coming up as well. All right, guys, thanks everyone for tuning in. I'll see you guys later.